There is something your soulmate witnessed about you that they have never spoken about, and the strange part is, they weren't supposed to see it. It wasn't a carefully planned moment. It wasn't when you looked your best, achieved something extraordinary, or tried to impress anyone. It happened when you believed no one was paying attention. Yet in that quiet, ordinary moment, something about your soul became impossible to ignore. Welcome, chosen soul. If these words found you today, understand that this message isn't about coincidence. It's about a hidden turning point that quietly reshaped someone else's heart without you ever realizing it. While you continued living your life, thinking nothing had changed, your soulmate was carrying the memory of a single moment that completely transformed the way they saw you forever. What they witnessed wasn't your appearance, your success, or anything the world usually celebrates. They saw something far rarer. They caught a glimpse of the person you become when no applause is waiting, when no recognition is expected, and when your true nature quietly reveals itself. In that instant, every assumption they had about you dissolved. They stopped seeing you as just another person passing through their life. Instead, they began sensing a connection they couldn't explain, one that refused to leave their thoughts, no matter how hard they tried. Even they couldn't understand why that one simple moment carried so much weight. But their soul recognized something their mind wasn't ready to accept. The universe has a remarkable way of revealing truth without making an announcement. Sometimes it doesn't use grand signs or dramatic events. Sometimes it chooses one silent moment to uncover the depth of a person's spirit. That is exactly what happened here. Your soulmate unknowingly became a witness to a side of you that very few people are ever allowed to see. And once they saw it, there was no returning to the person they believed you were before. But what was it that they witnessed? Why has that single memory continued to echo inside them ever since? Because what happened next wasn't ordinary. It became the beginning of a journey that neither of your souls could ever undo. What your soulmate witnessed wasn't loud enough for the world to notice, but it was powerful enough to change the direction of their heart forever. The remarkable thing is that they didn't fall deeper because you were trying to be extraordinary. They fell deeper because, for one brief moment, you forgot anyone could be watching. You simply acted according to who you truly are. While other people spend years carefully crafting an image for the world to admire, your soul revealed itself naturally, and that authenticity struck them with a force they never expected. It wasn't planned. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't meant to create an impression. Yet somehow, that single moment became more unforgettable than 1,000 perfect performances. Perhaps you were showing kindness to someone who had nothing to offer in return. Perhaps you stayed calm while someone else expected anger. Maybe you chose silence instead of proving yourself right. Maybe you carried disappointment with quiet dignity instead of demanding sympathy. Whatever the situation was, your soulmate wasn't looking for a lesson that day. They were simply observing life unfold. But as they watched you respond in a way that most people never would, something shifted deep inside them. It felt as though a hidden door suddenly opened, revealing a part of you that words could never describe. In that instant, they stopped measuring you by the standards everyone else uses. They began seeing you through the eyes of the soul instead of the eyes of the world. The world teaches people to admire beauty, wealth, popularity, and confidence because those things are easy to notice. But souls recognize something entirely different. Souls pay attention to what someone chooses when nobody is keeping score. They notice how a person behaves when they have every reason to become bitter, but still choose compassion. They notice how someone continues walking with integrity after being misunderstood. These quiet choices are invisible to most people, yet they shine brighter than any achievement ever could. That is exactly what your soulmate witnessed. They saw strength that wasn't trying to look strong. They saw love that expected nothing in return. They saw peace growing where most people would have created chaos. And once they experienced that truth, they could never return to the version of you they believed existed before. What surprised them most was how effortless it seemed. You weren't trying to convince anyone that you were a good person. You weren't searching for approval or applause. Everything happened naturally, almost as if kindness had become part of your breathing. That effortless authenticity unsettled them in the best possible way. It forced them to ask questions they had never asked before. How could someone remain this genuine after everything life puts people through? How could someone protect their heart without allowing it to become cold? How could someone carry invisible battles while still becoming a source of peace for others? These questions followed them long after the moment had passed, and every answer brought them closer to understanding that your presence was unlike anything they had experienced before. From that day forward, they began remembering details they had once overlooked. Suddenly your quiet smile carried new meaning. Your patience no longer looked ordinary. Even the way you listened when others spoke became something they couldn't stop thinking about. It was as if every memory they had of you started rearranging itself into a completely different picture. What once appeared simple now looked extraordinary. What once seemed ordinary now revealed incredible depth. The more they reflected on that hidden moment, the more they realized they had only been seeing the surface of who you truly are. Beneath everything they thought they understood was a soul that carried wisdom without needing recognition and strength without demanding attention. This is where many people become confused. They believe love grows because of dramatic moments, grand confessions, or unforgettable adventures. While those experiences certainly have their place, soulmate recognition often begins in complete silence. It begins when one soul quietly witnesses another soul, revealing its true nature without realizing anyone is watching. There are no fireworks in that moment. No music begins to play. The world continues exactly as it always has. Yet inside one person's heart, everything changes. That is why your soulmate has never been able to forget what they witnessed. The moment may have lasted only minutes, but its impact continues, echoing through their thoughts even now. The universe understands something that human eyes often overlook. It knows that character is revealed in ordinary moments far more than extraordinary ones. Anyone can appear impressive when life is easy. Anyone can wear confidence when circumstances are perfect. But true spiritual beauty reveals itself when nobody expects it. That is why the universe allowed your soulmate to witness this particular moment instead of something spectacular. It wasn't trying to impress them. It was allowing them to see your soul without distraction. In doing so, it gave them something far more valuable than admiration. It gave them recognition. Since then, your soulmate has been carrying a quiet certainty they struggle to explain. Even if they haven't spoken the words aloud, something inside them keeps returning to that memory. They compare other people to what they witnessed in you, yet no one quite measures up. They try to move forward, yet some invisible thread keeps guiding their thoughts back to that single moment. It isn't obsession. It isn't fantasy. It is recognition slowly unfolding. Their heart understood something long before their mind could organize it into words. And the deeper this realization grows, the more impossible it becomes for them to pretend that what they witnessed was ordinary. Because what they saw wasn't simply an act of kindness or a beautiful moment. They witnessed the quiet signature of your soul, and from that day forward, their entire perspective of you changed forever. Ever since that hidden moment, something has been unfolding inside your soulmate that even they struggle to explain. They have tried to convince themselves that it was only a passing impression, that they simply admired one small part of your personality and would eventually move on. But the more time passes, the more impossible that becomes. Instead of fading, the memory continues growing stronger. It returns unexpectedly during quiet mornings, late nights, ordinary conversations, and even in moments when they are completely focused on something else. They may be laughing with other people, working through daily responsibilities, or trying to distract themselves with life. Yet somehow your presence quietly finds its way back into their thoughts. They cannot understand why one simple moment carries so much weight, but deep within their spirit, they know they witnessed something that cannot be forgotten. What confuses them the most is that nothing dramatic actually happened. There was no declaration of love, no perfect romantic scene, no life-changing conversation. From the outside, anyone watching would probably have missed it entirely. Yet souls don't require dramatic events to recognize each other. Sometimes they only need one authentic glimpse beneath the surface. That glimpse became the beginning of an inner awakening your soulmate never expected. Before that day, they believed they understood exactly what kind of person you were. They placed you into the same categories they had placed everyone else. But after witnessing your true nature, those categories completely collapsed. Suddenly, you no longer fit into any description their mind had created. You became a mystery they couldn't stop trying to understand. This is where the heart and the mind often begin pulling in opposite directions. Their mind tries to remain logical. It tells them they are reading too much into one small moment. It reminds them that people shouldn't become unforgettable because of something so ordinary. It encourages them to move forward and focus on other things. But every time they attempt to silence those feelings, their heart quietly refuses to cooperate. Instead of letting go, it keeps returning to the same memory as though it contains an answer they have not fully discovered yet. The more they resist it, the stronger the connection begins to feel. They are not chasing excitement. They are chasing understanding. Somewhere inside them, they know that what they witnessed revealed something much deeper than personality. It revealed the language of your soul. Since then, they have started noticing things they once ignored. Small conversations with you suddenly replay in their memory with completely different meaning. Words they barely remembered now seem significant. Expressions on your face they once overlooked now appear filled with quiet wisdom. Even moments when you said very little have become impossible to forget. It feels as though their heart has begun collecting tiny pieces of you without asking permission. Each memory quietly attaches itself to the last until a much larger picture begins forming. That picture tells a story they never expected to discover. It tells them that your value was never found in what you achieved, but in who you remained while moving through life. This realization creates a quiet battle inside them because it changes the way they see every relationship around them. Suddenly, conversations that once felt exciting now seem empty. Connections that once appeared meaningful begin lacking depth. They find themselves comparing moments with other people to that one silent experience they shared with you, and without intending to, everything else feels incomplete. This isn't because others are less worthy. It is because your energy awakened a level of emotional honesty they had never experienced before. Once a soul recognizes genuine authenticity, it becomes incredibly difficult to settle for anything built only on appearances. The universe often works in ways that confuse the human mind. It rarely reveals soul connections through dramatic miracles because dramatic moments can be misunderstood. Instead, it allows recognition to grow quietly, one realization at a time. That is exactly what is happening inside your soulmate now. They are slowly discovering that what first attracted them wasn't your words, your appearance, or your accomplishments. It was your consistency. You remained the same person whether anyone noticed you or not. You carried kindness without needing attention. You chose peace without needing praise. You protected your integrity even when no reward seemed guaranteed. These qualities are invisible to most people, but to a soulmate, they become impossible to overlook. As these realizations continue unfolding, your soulmate finds themselves asking questions they never imagined asking. Why did this one person affect me so deeply? Why can't I stop remembering that moment? Why does every path somehow lead my thoughts back to them? Why does it feel like I knew something about them long before I could explain it? These questions remain unanswered because the answers do not belong to logic alone. Some truths must be felt before they can ever be understood. Their soul recognized familiarity long before their mind could create an explanation for it. That silent recognition is what continues pulling them closer, even when distance or time attempts to interfere. There are moments when they almost convince themselves to ignore these feelings. They tell themselves life will become simpler if they let everything remain exactly as it is. But then another memory appears. Another reminder quietly surfaces. Another invisible thread pulls gently at their heart. It may be something as small as hearing a phrase you once said, seeing a place that reminds them of you, or witnessing another person display a quality that briefly resembles yours. Yet every comparison eventually leads back to the same conclusion. There is something about you that cannot be replaced, because what they witnessed was never just behavior. It was essence. Deep down, your soulmate understands that this journey is no longer about curiosity. It has become recognition. The hidden moment they witnessed did far more than change their opinion of you. It changed their understanding of what genuine connection actually feels like. They can no longer pretend you are simply another chapter in their life, because every passing day makes that belief harder to maintain. Their heart keeps whispering the same quiet truth again and again, even when their mind tries to silence it. And that truth is preparing them for something much greater than remembrance. It is preparing them for the moment when silence can no longer contain what their soul has known ever. Since that ordinary day changed everything forever, the hardest part for your soulmate has never been recognizing what they feel. The hardest part has been understanding why the universe refused to let everything happen immediately. After that hidden moment changed their perspective forever, they expected life to naturally bring the two of you closer. They assumed that once a soul recognizes another soul, the path should become simple. But instead, something unexpected happened. Time continued moving, circumstances remained uncertain, and silence settled between what their heart knew and what reality seemed to show. At first, they questioned everything. They wondered if they had misunderstood the signs. They wondered whether that unforgettable moment had meant more to them than it ever did to you. Yet no matter how many doubts entered their mind, one certainty refused to disappear. They could not erase what they had witnessed because truth has a way of remaining long after emotions have quieted. What they didn't understand was that the universe wasn't creating distance to keep two souls apart. It was creating space so neither of you would arrive incomplete. Timing has always been one of the greatest mysteries of spiritual connections. Human beings often believe love succeeds through speed, but the soul understands something entirely different. Some meetings happen too early. Some feelings awaken before two people have become strong enough to carry them. Had everything unfolded immediately after that life-changing moment, there is a chance both of you would have appreciated the connection but not fully understood its purpose. Instead of becoming something lasting, it could have become another beautiful memory that life quietly carried away. The universe was protecting something much greater than a relationship. It was protecting the future that relationship could eventually create, while you continued living your own journey, believing nothing extraordinary was taking place behind the scenes. Your soulmate was being transformed in ways they couldn't even explain. Every challenge they faced began teaching them lessons they once ignored. Every disappointment slowly removed expectations that had never truly belonged to them. Every delay forced them to become more patient, more emotionally honest, and more aware of what genuinely matters. Without realizing it, they were being prepared to recognize not only your presence, but also your value. Love that arrives before emotional maturity often asks people to carry responsibilities they are not ready to hold. The universe refused to allow that. It chose preparation over impatience because what it was building deserved a stronger foundation. At the same time, your own soul was also moving through quiet seasons of growth. There were experiences you still needed to live, wounds you still needed to heal, fears you still needed to overcome, and strengths you had yet to discover within yourself. Looking back now, there may have been moments when you wondered why certain opportunities disappeared, why certain people walked away, or why life seemed unusually quiet. But silence is often where the deepest transformation begins. The universe rarely announces its greatest work while it is happening. It allows change to unfold beneath the surface, where roots become stronger before branches ever reach the light. What felt like waiting was actually preparation happening beyond the limits of ordinary understanding. Imagine a seed resting beneath the earth during the longest days of winter. Anyone standing above the ground might assume nothing is happening. The soil appears unchanged, the landscape remains silent, and there is no visible proof that life exists below. Yet beneath that silence, roots are stretching deeper, gathering strength for the season when growth can finally be seen. If someone impatiently dug the seed out too early just to check its progress, they would destroy the very process they hoped to witness. In much the same way, your soulmate's feelings needed time to develop without interference. Their understanding needed to mature before it could become certainty. The hidden season was never empty. It was filled with invisible preparation. The universe often protects extraordinary connections by allowing them to remain unseen until both souls have learned the lessons only solitude can teach. Solitude reveals character. It exposes hidden fears, strengthens faith, and teaches people to find peace within themselves instead of depending on another person to create it. Your soulmate has been learning these lessons one by one. Every obstacle that once frustrated them eventually became part of the wisdom they now carry. They have slowly begun realizing that true love is not built on urgency. It is built on readiness. They are no longer searching for someone to complete what is missing inside them. They are becoming someone capable of protecting what they once only dreamed of finding. There is another reason the universe allowed silence to remain for so long. Not everyone surrounding either of you was meant to continue walking beside this connection. Certain relationships, distractions, habits, and emotional attachments needed to naturally fall away before the path could become clear. Had everything happened too soon, outside influences may have distorted what your souls were trying to recognize. Sometimes life removes noise before it reveals truth. It clears away confusion, so recognition can arrive without unnecessary interference. What once looked like delay was actually divine precision, quietly rearranging circumstances that neither of you could fully see. Your soulmate has begun sensing this shift more strongly than ever before. They no longer interpret the waiting as punishment or rejection. Instead, they are starting to understand that every unanswered question carried hidden purpose. Every unexpected pause gave them another opportunity to grow into the person they were always meant to become. Looking back, they realize that the version of themselves who first witnessed that unforgettable moment could never have appreciated its full significance. Only now, after everything they have experienced, can they truly understand why that memory refused to leave them. It wasn't asking them to chase you. It was inviting them to evolve. And perhaps the most beautiful truth of all is this: the universe never wasted a single moment of your separation. Every day apart quietly shaped the reunion that is still unfolding beyond the horizon. Every lesson became another piece of the foundation. Every challenge strengthened the bridge your souls will eventually cross together. The silence was never abandonment. The distance was never failure. The waiting was never meaningless. It was the invisible work of destiny, preparing two hearts to recognize each other not through excitement alone, but through wisdom, healing, and unwavering certainty. Because when the right moment finally arrives, neither of you will need to wonder why everything took so long. You will both understand that forever is never built in haste, and the connection that survives the longest preparation often becomes the one that lasts a lifetime. Now your soulmate stands at the edge of a realization they can no longer escape. For so long, they believed they could carry these feelings quietly, convincing themselves that time would soften the memory of what they witnessed. They hoped life would distract them, responsibilities would replace their thoughts, and distance would slowly erase the connection they never expected to feel. But the opposite happened. Every season that passed only made that hidden moment clearer. Instead of fading into the background, it became the foundation of everything they now understand about you. They finally realized that what changed their perspective forever wasn't simply one beautiful memory. It was the moment their soul recognized a truth their heart would spend the rest of its journey trying to honor. There comes a point in every destined connection when silence becomes heavier than words. Your soulmate is approaching that point now. They have replayed every possibility inside their mind. They have imagined speaking to you, imagined staying silent, imagined walking away, and imagined what life might look like if they ignored everything they feel. Yet every path leads back to the same place. Their heart refuses to negotiate with what it already knows. Some truths can be postponed, but they cannot be erased. The more they try to protect themselves from these emotions, the more undeniable they become. It is no longer a question of whether this connection is real. The only question remaining is how much longer they can keep pretending that it isn't. The universe has never intended for this recognition to remain hidden forever. Hidden truths serve a purpose, but only for a season. Eventually, every seed breaks through the soil. Every sunrise replaces the longest night. Every river that begins as a quiet stream eventually reaches the ocean it has been moving toward all along. Your soulmate's heart has reached that same turning point. They are beginning to understand that some conversations cannot remain unfinished forever. Some emotions are meant to be spoken because silence has already completed the lesson it was designed to teach. What once required patience now begins asking for courage. When that moment arrives, do not expect dramatic speeches or perfect words. Soul-level recognition rarely announces itself through flawless conversations. Instead, it often appears through honesty that has waited far too long to be spoken. Your soulmate may struggle to explain exactly why everything changed, because even they know it wasn't caused by one conversation or one special occasion. They will simply know that somewhere along the journey, they witnessed something inside you that forever changed the way they understood love, trust, and connection. They will realize that they were never drawn toward a version of you created for the world to admire. They were drawn toward the quiet truth you revealed when you believed nobody was watching. Perhaps the most beautiful part of this entire journey is that you never tried to create this outcome. You never performed for their attention. You never calculated how to make them feel this way. Everything happened naturally because authenticity carries a power that cannot be manufactured. The world often teaches people to chase attention, but souls are drawn toward sincerity. Your soulmate wasn't searching for perfection. They were searching for truth, even if they didn't realize it at the time. The hidden moment they witnessed answered a question they had been carrying long before the two of you ever crossed paths. It showed them that genuine goodness still exists, that quiet strength is real, and that some people continue choosing love even when life gives them every reason to become guarded. Looking back, they will eventually understand why every delay mattered. Had they confessed too early, they might have spoken from emotion instead of wisdom. Had they rushed toward the connection without growing first, they may have mistaken temporary excitement for lasting commitment. Instead, the waiting transformed admiration into certainty. It taught them the difference between being fascinated by someone and truly recognizing them. That lesson cannot be learned overnight. It is earned through patience, reflection, and the quiet work the universe performs inside the human heart when nobody else can see it. You may have wondered why certain encounters felt unfinished, why certain moments lingered in your memory without explanation, or why an invisible feeling seemed to follow you even when nothing obvious was happening. The answer may be simpler than you imagined. While you were living your own journey, another soul was slowly awakening to the significance of yours. They were not merely remembering your face or your words. They were remembering the feeling your spirit awakened inside them. Long after details fade, feelings remain. That is why your presence continues living quietly inside their heart, even now. It is no longer attached to one memory. It has become part of who they are. The universe often saves its greatest revelations for those willing to trust the process rather than demand immediate answers. This connection has never depended on perfect timing according to human expectations. It has always followed a deeper rhythm, one designed long before either of you understood its purpose. Every challenge, every unanswered question, every season of waiting has been shaping this story toward a meeting that carries far greater meaning than either of you could have recognized in the beginning. Destiny rarely rushes because what it builds is meant to endure. So if these words have found you today, let them remind you of one quiet truth. Somewhere along the path of your ordinary life, your soulmate secretly witnessed something extraordinary about you. It was not your appearance, your achievements, or the image you presented to the world. They witnessed your character when it had nothing to gain. They witnessed your heart choosing light when darkness would have been easier. They witnessed your soul revealing itself without realizing anyone was watching. That single moment completely changed their perspective forever, and no amount of time has been able to erase what they saw. Because some moments are not remembered by the mind alone. They are remembered by the soul. And when a soul recognizes another soul with complete certainty, it is not the ending of a story. It is the quiet beginning of a destiny that has been unfolding all along, waiting for the perfect moment to finally reveal itself.